This is for a modified 3-needle bind-off. This modified 3-needle bind-off creates a nice braid along the working side of the work, the right side of the work, and it lays nice and flat. You have to treat it a little differently than a standard 3-needle bind-off, and it's used in my Brienne cardigan. So the first step is to make sure you have the same number of stitches on the front needle and the back needle. I just have 2 swatches here. There are 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 on the front, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 on the back. Okay, let's begin. So my working yarn is coming off of the right-hand side. You may need to rejoin yarn, but I still had some yarn on this swatch. I am going to join in a 3rd needle, although you could use, if you're using a long circular like I am, you could use that, one of those extra tips to do the 3-needle bind-off. Okay, the first stitch is squirrely. We'll get through it. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is slip as if to purl the first stitch. Then I want to move my yarn behind that 3rd needle and to the front of the stitch on the back because I want to go and purl. Whoops, I want the yarn in front of the stitch in the back so that I can purl it. Okay, there are 2 stitches on my needle. I'm going to bind off this purl stitch by pulling the first slipped stitch over it. And this first one is a little tricky. Okay, perfect. So now we have 1 stitch on the needle. We're going to repeat those steps. When I go to slip the front stitch, I want my yarn in back because I don't want anything in front of it. So slip as if to purl that first stitch. Now there are 2 stitches on my needle. Then I'm going to bring the yarn to the front of the stitch in the back and purl it. Then I have 3, whoops, I don't know if you can see that very well there. 3 stitches on that 3rd needle, and I'm going to slip each of these 2 stitches over the first stitch. So here's the stitch we slipped. And here's the stitch that was already on the needle for the bind off. So now you just have 1 stitch before you start the operation again. Okay, so slip, my yarn's in back, so I'm gonna slip as if to purl. Then I'm gonna bring the yarn forward so I can purl through the front loop on the back stitch. Okay, now once again, I'm gonna bring the yarn to the back to get it out of the way. I have 3 stitches on my needle. First, I'm gonna slip this slip stitch over the stitch we just purled. And then the actual bind off happens when you bring the final stitch in back on the right-hand needle over there. So now we're back to 1. You can see the chain is starting to form. Let's do some more. So slip this front stitch as if to purl. Then bring that yarn forward so you can purl the stitch on the back needle. Okay, now I'm bringing the yarn to the back. I'm working with 3 stitches, and you can kind of see the stitch we slipped is elongated and it doesn't have a purl bump. So I'm going to slip that stitch first and then the one behind it. Let's do 2 more of these stitches and then we'll take a look at what's happening. Okay, so yarn is in back, that's good. Slip as if to purl. You can see it gets a little easier as you go along. Then yarn to front like you would to purl because we are going to purl. Now we've gone to 1 to 3 stitches again, yarn to back. Take the slip stitch, pull it over, and then take the final stitch and pull it over. Okay, let's do 1 more, then we'll take a look at what's happening. Okay, slip as if to purl. Then purl, so bring the yarn forward and purl a stitch off the back needle. That should give us 3 stitches in back on this 3rd needle, yes. Okay, slip the slipped stitch over the front stitch, slip the back stitch over the front stitch. Okay, Now you can see you're getting this nice flat decorative braid. This would be like at your shoulder seam, or for the Brienne cardigan, it is along the back, joining the right and left sides together. I'll finish it up and then we can take a look. Okay, so slip as if to purl, yarn forward, purl. Got to kind of watch this front needle doesn't get jacked up. Okay, yarn back again, pull the slip stitch over, bind off. Okay, bring this third needle forward, slip as if to purl, yarn to front, purl, yarn to back. This is the most complicated part, is getting the yarn in the right place, but it is intuitive if you've done plenty of knitting and purling. Okay, slip, slip. Okay, we're getting there. We've got 4 stitches left on either needle. That's good. All right, let's bring this third needle forward, slip, yarn forward, purl, yarn back. I'm gonna scoot this needle up a little bit so those stitches don't fall off, those live stitches. Okay, pull over, pull over. All right, needle forward, slip as if to purl, yarn forward, purl. It does get a little squirrely here towards the end when you don't have much weight left on those needles. We can do it. All right, third needle forward. Ooh, that's looking so pretty, see that? Slip. Okay, now I can kind of hold on to both those needles, yarn forward, purl. Whoops, okay, the needle fell out. That's all right, we'll catch it. Slip, slip. Okay, let's go get that final stitch. So we're gonna slip, yarn forward, purl, yarn back. We'll slip these final stitches over. And then you would just cut this yarn and pull it through this final loop. Let's just pull out a loop a little bit so you can see. Now you have this decorative seam along the shoulder, or in the case of the Brienne cardigan, joining the right and left pieces. And that is the modified 3 needle bind off.